Hello! 1 second. Game designer's hat. Let's have a little chat about how I took an idea for a game, for one of these things, a Game Boy, and followed it and took it all the way through to getting a publishing deal where it's going to be shortly published on one of these, a physical cartridge, as well as an electronic ROM download. Okay, are you sitting comfortably? Then I shall begin.
So every good game dev tale starts with a game jam, and game jams are competitions and challenges that are set over a short period of time. So they're pretty intensive, and they're designed to get the creative juices flowing once again. And this one was GB Compo 2023, and it ran from June last year through to September. So you had a good few months to design a game intended to run on original Game Boy hardware. So my first thing I do in any project is hit the notebook, and there's a few sections in this notebook based around a game that I had an idea for. The theme of the game jam was You Are the Monster, by the way. Now, inspiration comes in many shapes and forms, and for me, a good source of inspiration and a good starting point was a book that I'd recently read called Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, and it followed some young game devs, and in there was a game that someone made where you were part of a factory floor and helping to produce these certain pieces of machinery, but you later learn that there's a more sinister tale behind what you're making. So what do? You're part of this evil cog in this evil machine. Do you sabotage, or do you just keep making it and making your money in the meantime? And I like this concept. Now, I have no experience with programming for original Game Boy hardware, but luckily enough, there is something out there called GB Studio, which I have to say is absolutely awesome indeed. And there are a lot of help documents out there, and there's a really good, friendly, and more importantly, helpful community out there that you can tap into as part of your learning journey, and it's brilliant. So I started to make my game in GB Studio. You can also tap into assets. There are a lot of GB Studio assets out there, and if you were to just browse the website itch.io using the term GB Studio, for example, you will find lots of example games, asset packs, and examples that can really springboard your learning curve and really help you out on those initial stages where you're trying to learn something new. But here is my game in GB Studio, and it started off fairly small as I got the basic crux of the game in place, the basic game mechanic. You're basically a delivery boy, delivering packages around this cute little village, but as you start to play the game more and more and play all the little backstory mini games within it that I've put inside it, you start to learn and uncover more and more about the village's sinister path. So you're left with a decision, a bit like Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. You're left with this dilemma. Do you keep doing what you're doing and just turn a blind eye to what's been going on, or do you sabotage and hopefully your actions will go undetected, but your actions will hopefully stop the evil plans that are afoot that you've uncovered? But that's the dilemma that I'd like to give the player. But when you learn that you are the monster, then you're at these important crossroads deciding which way to take the game. GB Studio, as I said, is awesome. It'll package up your game as a ROM, so it can be downloaded and put onto a flash cart, so it will actually run on original hardware. Or it will basically give you a web version, so you can run it in the web browser as you're seeing here, which is again awesome, and it instantly opens up your game to more people, because not everybody is fortunate enough to have a Game Boy kicking around that it can run on. And as you can see, you can get an idea of the quality of GB Studio and the games that you can make within it. So here is, for example, a mini story to do with one of the squirrels that lives with you. So every main character in my game has a little mini story, and I was thinking about how can you teach the player the story behind the village that the game is set in, rather than give them reams and reams of text to read, which I don't mind sometimes in a game, but other times when I play games, I don't want to sit through all the text and digest all that. So through play, I'm actually teaching the player not only how the game controls work, but also giving them drip feeding them each time a little bit of the village's story that they can then act upon when they come to be faced with that dilemma of, do they continue down the road of just delivering their packages, knowing what those packages contain, or do you then start to sabotage them and hope your actions go undetected? But there we go, we've taken a delivery from the shop. Luckily it was just for Acorn Cottage, which is a couple of doors down, and there you have it, successful delivery. So if we go exploring again, we can see that there are more parts to the village, and once I had the main delivery mechanic in place, then I could start expanding the village, and there's now a castle, there's now a museum, for example, there's now a jetty where we can go swimming and explore different islands. It was at that point I was taking inspiration from those other games, like Animal Crossing, for example. Having this cute game, because I wanted the game to appear quite cute and you could just have free roam and explore, but you start to uncover the dark side of it. Because you can package up your game as a ROM or as a web-based game, you can then display it and upload it onto itch.io. So here is my game page with some controls and the actual game that you can play inside the browser from the game page. And you can see a few people have left comments. They were kind enough to leave comments, and it's great. It's a great community, a great welcoming community. I have never had a negative experience putting my work out there, and people playing and commenting. It's just such a lovely, welcoming community, and I hope that my comments that I leave just make people really happy as well. So here you can see the game is now working within the game page on itch.io. It's running in exactly the same way with the same controls. If you were to run it on a mobile phone or a tablet, it will actually bring up virtual Game Boy controls. Anyway, we submitted to the competition, to the game jam, and these guys, Bitmap Soft, popped up. These guys help independent Game Boy and retro game developers they work with them to bring their creations to life and release them on physical cartridge as well as digital downloads. So they before the game jam even finished, because I submitted my game early, they actually tapped me up and say, hey, we really like your game. Would you consider, if we were to help you and work with you, would you consider releasing your game on physical cartridge?
Yes, please.
Which was really exciting. So I worked with them and polished the game. I then created a separate testing and feedback section of my game, my website, Rocket Games. And as I have hundreds of students coming through, because I teach game design in schools and run after school coding clubs as well, I just ran the game all through them, and the feedback they provided was really helpful, brutal at times, but necessary. But every piece of feedback that I got was really useful. And here you can see a map, so I'd quite like to have a pull-out map of the place, because it is quite a big place with lots of places to visit. And all the artwork you're seeing, I'm rubbish at artwork. I did reach out to a few people, but all the artwork you see is AI generated using Midjourney as well. That is such a useful tool in this situation.
So there you have it. I think I've been quite lucky. I think I've been very lucky, very flattered that I got approached, but it also highlights the importance of game jams. So if you're wanting to start out in game design, just start. You don't have to make something perfect. You don't have to make this brilliantly polished product. You just have to make something. If your idea is a good one, people will see that and they will approach and help, as in my case. As for when mine gets released, I'm not quite sure yet. There's probably a few things still to polish, things to go through, but it's getting very close. I can almost smell that finishing line, which is really exciting. But I've submitted quite a lot of the content, the artwork, the screenshots, the videos, the text, and everything else in between. It's all in their hands now, which is brilliant. And I just want to say a massive thank you to the community for helping me test and offer feedback. Most importantly, offering negative feedback. I know that sounds odd, but without that honest feedback, we will never improve. And I know that I had to take a lot of comments on the chin, and I was able to turn that around, and now we've got a finished, polished product, which is awesome. So yeah, I hope you found this video useful. Go out and create. There is no excuse not to learn something new these days, is there? So get on out, get stuck in, and hopefully, you never know, our paths may cross one day. If they do, say hi. And if you've got a question or you want to ask me something in addition to this video, then just leave a comment. Just leave a comment and I'll get back to you. All right, take care. Thanks for watching, and get that game design hat on your head. Bye-bye.